Okay. Hello? Can you hear me? Okay, I can't hear you.
I know, Dr. Dread's there. Hi.
Hi guys. We're
No
trying to
sound.
figure out sound. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm gonna put it in chat. Sometimes this just takes
Got
a
video.
good while.
We have sound.
Yeah, I can't hear any of you guys.
Pick what microphone it is.
Let's see.
Which microphone is that?
Oops. I hate this part. Okay.
Okay. How about that? Now.
Which one is the one that you hear?
That's the buzz.
Okay, let's just select the ones.
Battery of my person connected to your Nicholas Iman. Connected to your iPhone 9.
Show me here, see what you
Yeah.
left.
How about now?
I hear
Here
Sally
you-
and Lobo.
Oh,
Oh, there we go. I hear people.
well, please select the ones.
Yeah, you hear Doc. Doc.
I hear Doc.
Okay.
What do you want to know?
No, it's fine. Now, can you hear me?
I hear Sally.
All right.
Can you hear me? Hello.
I hear Mr. Lobo.
Yeah. We're live. Ah, together again for the first time ever. Woohoo!
I mean, Doc and I have been together quite a few times, I think.
Yeah.
I see your mouths moving, but I can't hear you.
Oh no.
We will figure this
All
out.
right. I think we got sound. I think it's not just.
There
Got
you
it.
go. Okay.
Yeah.
Film can be
We go
so
way back.
finicky. I could set up the speaker and it just doesn't work every single time.
Yeah, I had it. Somehow it got on the wrong speaker. Okay, I'm gonna plug in our microphone and see if it goes away. Okay. Can you guys hear me?
I can
Yes.
Okay, but now I can't hear you, of course. I knew that was it. Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, you can, but I can't hear you.
hear you. Testing. Testing 2, 3.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
You can still hear me.
Yeah. No.
I don't think we can use the microphone because now I can't hear them. Unless we have separate speakers. It'll be fine. Not the best sound, but okay. Alright, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
And I can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing ever. I'm gonna change the view.
I love your look.
Oh, thank you. I'm Bad Juju. And I already know. Hi. Mr. Lobo, Zombie the Sally
Tell me the Sally.
Sally the Cheerleader. That's what I am.
Sally Cheerleader. Yes, that's going to be your name. from now
That's
on.
right. Nope.
and Doctordread. Holy cow. And this is J Bone.
Hey, J Bones.
Yeah, so we're
Great,
Bad
J-Bo.
Juju and J Bone. This is just the coolest. I think this is gonna be my favorite episode. So
Nice. Now I have my computer set up in my office. If I was a
Wonderful.
way for me to move it down to my lair, I would, but we've been at a convention all day, so that wasn't happening.
we've been seeing your pictures. They're great.
Oh, thank you. We've been having a blast, right?
Yes. Oh, no, it's
Oh,
been
it's been
fun.
great.
It's fun.
Yep.
Well, just a few things. We're on YouTube, of course, but we're also on Public Media Network in Kalamazoo, Michigan. At least for now. I don't know what's going to be happening. They're changing.
I think they run old Cinema Insomnia episodes on there too.
Yeah.
They do, yeah. That's how we know of you.
Yep.
Yeah. And we don't know how long it'll be running because the person that does the programming is leaving, so they may or may not keep our show. But we just got picked up by Open Signal, which is a nonprofit cable access television station in Portland, Oregon.
Oh, congratulations.
Yay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a hit.
Yeah, Portland. Awesome.
Yeah.
I think I'm out.
I think so. One of
Yeah.
your 9 stations.
One of my 9 stations.
That's great. Yeah, and so you guys are gonna have the chance to talk about all that. The only thing we can't do, because now that we're picked up by Open Signal, is we can't do calls to action, which means you can't say, go watch my show. And if you do, it'll go on YouTube, but it'll just be edited out, because of course this isn't live, because we always have to edit stuff because of, we got to be careful with promoting and stuff with that nonprofit now. Yeah.
Mhm.
And nothing that's time sensitive. So yeah, it's gonna show in different places at different times. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn you guys up a little bit. Hope it's all the way up. All right, we might need to get real speakers. I don't know if. Okay. Okay, well, do you guys have any questions or anything?
So where are you guys based out of? When did you start?
Oh, okay. We're in Astoria, Oregon, and that's we're on the Pacific Northwest, so the ocean's right there, and we're out beyond the river. And we started May 13th, 2022. Friday the 13th was our first episode.
Wow, nice.
Awesome.
So you're kind of the new kids on the block. I like
We
that.
Yep.
Definitely the new kids on the block. And we only do, at first we did an episode once a month, but now we're down to about every other month. It's just because of the way things work.
It's life and
Takes time.
scheduling and- yeah.
Time and life gets in the way. I know
Yes.
how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my cat mischief. You could ignore him. I might have.
This is definitely a house of animals. A
Yeah.
lot of them.
I
Yes.
have 5 kitty cats, and when it's
Wow.
I lose me.
We have 2. And
I have
so
5, so I can't imagine actually having 5.
will you repeat what you just said? I'm sorry. It keeps.
I have 1 cat, and it's like
Oh.
having 5. I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
imagine having 5.
Yeah, we have 3 and one that comes and goes as it pleases. So we have like 4 cats in the house and a dog.
Oh, wow.
So you know what it's like to have a house full of animals.
Yes.
Oh, and we have a 21-year-old, so that's like having
There you go. That counts as 2 cats.
There's 3 to 4 cats. Yeah.
So animal names, what are all your pets' names?
So it's Poe, Palace, Mischief, Molly, and Ripley.
Nice.
We call the cat baby cat, but unless she's bad, and then she's garbage cat.
Oh, well. Great.
Garbage kitty, kitty.
And she's garbage cat most of the time.
Nice. How about you, Doc?
The dog is Marcy. The cats belong to my wife. Normally, I just say, "Get cat, go away, cat." They're all cats to me.
You don't know their names.
One's Tiger, and one is Miss Stink.
Okay. I want to know why she's called Misty.
I know those 2, and then Miss Stink is real close to the other. They're almost identical to Baby Girl. So Baby Girl and Miss Stink look alike. I can't tell them apart.
Okay. Yeah, we have Bastet and Baphomet.
Oh, that's nice.
Nice. The cat you called Mischief ate my television about 2 months ago, and that television was about 8 months old. So, and it was a 4K Ultra. So I just hung the television so the cat cannot eat it. So this will be the 3rd lesson we've had in a year. It's been a series of unfortunate events.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Bastet.
One of them I knocked over by accident.
Yeah, Bastet
who's more-
everywhere. Baphomet's a fraidy cat.
Yeah. I have 2 that are hiding anxiety that they haven't shown their faces quite yet because we have guests. Aaron and Lobo are staying with us. So they're kind of hiding right now. And I guess when you leave, they'll show their faces again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's how Baphomet is. Bastet could care less. She loves everybody. She's like, person, pet me. And okay, so what are you guys drinking? That's part of the
I I have some hot Dr. Pepper. That's room temperature.
This is just some rainwater mixed with yoo-hoo.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Essence water, only pure liquids.
Little bit of
Deep
raw
vodka
sewage.
with a couple of olives in it.
There you go. I was
Okay.
wondering where's.
And I have just a red blend wine. I never drink wine.
I have a special aged dark bourbon.
And I never whine when I drink, so there you go.
Cheers. All right. Well, we've already started, obviously. So we
You got all the cat business out of the way.
That's right.
yeah, the cat business is out of the way. And we know a lot about you guys, but we still are gonna ask questions that, you know, will be answered for the audience. And so, Doc Dread, how long has your show been around?
I've been on 4 years. And the first year that it was just my YouTube channel.
Sure.
But I'm going on my 5th year.
Wow. That's great.
Love your reviews. Yay. More
Thank
reviews.
you. A lot of fun. I'm having fun.
Yeah. And Doc Dread, you review bad movies so that you watch bad movies so we don't have to.
Exactly. And I my ultimate goal was to host movies. And I've hosted 3 so far, but I was so restricted with copyrights
Hmm.
and you know, not knowing what public domain movies I can use, that the review show just it's a lot more fun without the stress.
Oh,
I
nice.
think it was really smart, honestly. I think it was really
Yeah.
smart, and it provides something that's different than what everyone else is doing.
Exactly.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
You've carved out a nice niche for yourself. You have.
That big hatchet.
Keep carving.
Half the time, people are like, "Can we just watch your parts? Do we have to watch the movie? Can we just send us just your parts without the movie?" So I think you're doing. I like the reviews, Doc. I do.
Yes.
I think they're good.
Thank you. That was part of it too. It's just like condensing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and everybody's so like wants fast stuff anyway now. I mean, it's like, how do you even get someone to sit down for 2 hours to watch something, right?
That's the challenge. I have a good fan base and they love, and I actually have a fair number of folks that will sit down and watch the shows and critique them. And especially if I do something that's not 100% accurate, will send me pointers, which is great.
That is great.
Because they're watching and I appreciate it. So I can't complain.
I
My stuff is a little slow paced on purpose, a little long form on purpose. I mean, I'm kind of the Bob Ross of horror hosts, I guess. I mean, you just sort of put it. I like to think people just put it on and just have it on as part of their evening or their slumber party or the temperature of the room.
yeah.
During the pandemic, the shows got longer and longer. People just wanted to hang.
Yeah.
You know, so now that we're putting them back on broadcast again, because I was on broadcast years ago, but I focused mostly on streaming and stuff the past 10 years. And it's like a lot of our shows are like 3.5 hours now. It's like we got to reel them in now and re-edit them so that we can put them out there for some of these nonprofit stations to show.
Yep. And then instead of happy little trees, he does funny little films.
Yes, misunderstood movies.
That's right.
They're not bad movies.
They're
Misunderstood.
just misunderstood. Yeah.
Very misunderstood sometimes, yes.
And you also have like retro commercials and stuff from other movies. And,
Yeah.
and
It's almost
products.
like an essay. Yeah, it's kind of like a video essay where there's like old commercials and there's interviews and there's a comedy and shorts, and a lot of times sometimes it'll be stream of consciousness or variations on a theme, so it'll relate to something in the movie or something that I'm talking about. A lot of times the vintage commercials and things.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's really great that you guys you're actually talking about what you're watching. We have seen horror hosts before that it was like their excerpts had nothing to do with the movie they were hosting, and I was like sitting there, what's the name of this movie? I just want to know the name of the movie, it's like, and I can't fast forward, some of the public media stuff.
A lot of the old guys from like the 70s and stuff, unless they had a 16 millimeter film projector in their house, they weren't really able to pre-screen the movies.
No.
So a lot of times they would just have they would have shtick that they would do. They'd have whatever info about the movie that they could find in books, and then they would do like, and now back to the movie, and now out to a commercial. But at least they knew they usually had the title.
Usually had the
movie.
title.
Yeah.
I mean, Count Gore often remarked that a lot of his shtick was just shtick. That he knew the movie, he knew the actors. He may not have been able to watch the movie prior to showing it, and a lot of his shtick is about the movie, and he kind of keeps that format now. That he'll host something, but his shtick is entirely different. He's just having fun, and people love it.
Yeah.
He's hosting the movie. He doesn't necessarily talk about the movie.
There's a lot of different ways to do it. A lot of times Insomnia will have a whole parallel storyline where I'm going through something that's somewhat similar to what's happening in the movie.
Yeah.
Or I go down tangents with cats and zombie issues, because zombies have a lot of issues.
A lot of it.
A lot of issues.
We were actually wondering if you died in the middle of a cheer.
I probably did a few times. Sometimes I die often during the show, but I always seem to come back. I've mentioned that when I take breaks from horror hosting, because I had 3 kids at one time in the house.
You had 3 at one time?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
my
That was
God.
wow.
Early the zombie, zombed, and zomboy, and eventually one after the other went to college and left. And my last 2 are still in college. But I would take breaks once in a while because I had to focus on family. So whenever I came back, I usually have, they tried to bury me again. So I dug myself out. Hey, it's Sally again. I think I did that 3 or 4 times already in the course of 18 years I've been on.
Yeah. And how long have you been on, Sally?
Since about 2005.
Wow.
So a long time.
That's
Approaching
right.
20 years, yeah.
Wow. Holy cow. And so where did you start?
Actually, I was out in Maryland. I did a bunch of stuff in Baltimore, then Frederick. I did a little work in Virginia, part of the Horror Hosts Underground. So back in the day when there were VHS tapes, we used to trade VHS tapes across the country. So I was on a bunch of stations. That kind of collapsed in on itself. And then when YouTube came along, I focused on YouTube. But I'm now branching out again to television stations, so OSI 74. What is it called?
Which is
PEG Media.
Yeah.
That we get.
I have a Roku channel called OSI 74, and then PEG Media is another thing that we're uploading shows to.
Yes.
To
Oh,
distribute
that's
on.
great. Yeah.
I'm all the way from Pennsylvania to Portland at this point, up in New England. So it's fun. It's fun getting back into households again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's for us, we haven't, since we don't know what to do. We're just like baby stepping, and it was nice that Portland picked us up, because a lot of the public media stations won't pick you up if you're not in their area. And but they were like, oh, Astoria doesn't have a TV station, sure, we'll put you on. So that was really cool. Yeah.
Yep.
And as far, I
But
mean,
everywhere,
as
you're
far as-
brand new.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
But you guys are brand new and you're just starting out. The fact that you were already picked up and you're just over a year into this is fantastic, honestly. So
amazing.
you're-
Honestly, no one is competing with anyone but themselves. Everyone has
Exactly.
their own journey. There's
Mhm.
really no right or wrong way to do it. It's your face and your skull out there.
That's right.
You have to do what works for you and what's enjoyable to you.
Yeah.
And and find your own audience. So
Exactly.
don't ever think, oh, I'm ahead or I'm behind. I started too
Right,
late.
yeah.
You've
Yeah.
been driving yourself crazy thinking about things.
That's
like
right. Have fun doing it. You'll find your niche, you'll find your fan base, and even if it's large or small or somewhere in between, you're gonna have lots of fun. So
Oh
enjoy
gosh,
it.
we have so much fun.
And if you're not having fun, that might be a time to take a bit of a break.
Yeah, sometimes we have fun.
Exactly.
And we don't necessarily, we're not your typical horror host. We don't host movies. We actually make our own movies.
Yeah.
Oh,
For the show.
nice.
Yeah, we make mini movies, so they're not full length movies.
That's so awesome. Making a movie is making a movie. There's
Oh,
no
yeah.
difference in my
Do you
Uh,
have any of those uploaded on YouTube, or can we
Yeah.
see those?
Yeah, they are. We have we have our channel in such a way that if you're on the computer, on your phone, it's really I can't navigate YouTube on my phone, so I always use my computer. But we have the full episode, and then we have the individual segments. So
Mhm. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
and so if someone likes, because the way I started out was actually started a podcast 2 years ago because I'm a writer and I had a book published, and my publisher talked me into starting a YouTube channel. I was like, well, what am I going to do on YouTube? And he's like, read your book. My book wasn't published yet. So I was like, well, I'm just going to talk to other writers. And that's how it started, was talking to other authors. And then when Kenji at Public Media Network picked us up, he asked me if I wanted to put the show on his channel. And I was like, well, I got to make it more interesting. And we were getting into all you guys, watching you guys. And I was like, I want to be a horror host, but I want to host stories, like written stories. Well, all stories are written, movies are written, but it was like, I wanted a broader scope because I wanted to highlight authors. And then it kind of snowballed into like, okay, we're going to make our own little mini movies, and we're going to have.
That's when I got involved.
Yeah, because I was like, I want to create a better show than just a podcast of me talking to people. So
Wow. So you're an author, podcaster, filmmaker, and horror host. You're just multifaceting all over the place. It's amazing.
Yeah. So busy. Gosh. but doing I mean, he's got a kick-ass job, so I get to do all sorts of stuff that I want to do. So I do work for money, but I'm a yoga therapist, and so
Oh, nice.
and a violinist. Yeah.
Ooh,
That's cool.
faceting all over the
A
place.
woman of many seasons.
I test out experimental makeups and stuff. That's how I got this complexion.
Oh, it looks so good on you. It's fabulous. I'm just so pleased.
Yeah, and we came up with
And
that
the
YouTube
sense of the
channel, and it's been a lot of fun. It's much more fun than just a podcast. But the podcast is fun, talking to people.
Yeah.
But we also recently changed the format. So before I would just talk to one person for like an hour, and now it's like, okay, I'm going to talk to more than one person for an hour, but it's going to be a lot more fun. We're drinking, and more conversation with more than one person.
This is my first appearance.
Yeah.
Very, very.
Well, welcome. My first appearance on your show also.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
By coincidence, it's also my first appearance on the
No
show.
way.
Well, I thought I was the only one that was first appearing on here.
Whoa, this
Timer.
Nice to meet you first
Yeah,
time.
there you go. What are you doing in her house? No.
And downstairs. Why is there a Lobo in that house?
Muddy shoes of this broken glass, and I'm in here. That's all I know.
We got an Aaron downstairs on the sofa. That's the camera guy for Mr. Lobo. So
Yeah, my
Oh,
producer.
okay.
is-
So you
we've
actually
been-
have a full crew, Mr. Lobo.
Yeah, I do. I have a studio in Paradise, Pennsylvania.
Kitty.
We have a couple of people who help us, people who do editing. Aaron is my producer, and I've been doing my show for 22 years.
Wow.
So there's been
Oh my gosh.
time, and I'm actually very, this is actually the first time where I kind of have my own space. It doesn't belong to the station, or it doesn't belong to a network, or it isn't a space I've borrowed time in or rented time in, or
That's good.
or isn't my kitchen, or
basement.
basement or living room.
Basement.
It's been all of those things, and it's been all of those things across 22 years. But now to actually have a dedicated studio where the set is set up all the time, and we just
Yeah.
come in and turn the lights on, and it's very nice. And I try to make it a space to where other people can come and be creative, and we can workshop. And we've had indie filmmakers in there doing second unit stuff. We've been doing stuff, recording stuff and making stuff for other people's shows. Sally will come in there and do stuff for herself. She'll come in there and be a guest on my show. We'll both do something for someone else. So I'm trying to make it as much of like I said, a place where people can create stuff and make the most out of it. I do 3 live streams a week on Twitch. You know, I have my shows now that I've started giving away to the nonprofit stations, but I also have them on YouTube. I have my own Roku channel, and you know, YouTube. They're on the Monster channel. You know, any rock anyone's hiding under, we'll try to give them this material.
Yep, we're throwing movies all over the place. I mean, ultimately it's about the creation and the art of it all. As long as you're trying, you're putting forth a product, creating art, and you're having fun.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it's about. It doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be, you know, right first time. As long as you're creating something and people are enjoying it, you've accomplished something.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's great.
That's
And we do
basic
have like
science,
questions written down. Do you want to grab that? This is Bastet.
I don't feel
Little baby kitty, you're so cute.
Oh, I lost my off my
It-
hat. Oh well.
We're falling apart. She's going after my strings. Okay. I do have some things written down, so, and remember it can be edited, so. Oh, I guess we could ask, are your guys's, I mean, like Mr. Lobo, you're on late night, right? When you're on some of the other channels, the channels that are not streaming. And
It's always insomnia, so typically they will program it late, although we have been on in afternoons and stuff in various markets.
insomnia in the afternoon. I bet Sally
But-
gets that. Right? Zombies get insomnia in the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah, 24/7.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah. It's
So
a way
that-
of life.
Sally, where did you dig up Skelly Cat?
Skelly Cat was, I actually found the cat creation online, and I wound up buying it as a little plush cat. And I'm going, this is great, because I wanted a sidekick. I wanted to be able to bounce off of something else. And there are some horror hosts, you know, like Bobby Gamonster has Boris Buzzard and all that. And I'm like, I want something too, but obviously it's going to be a cat. And I've tried using my live cats, but it's like herding cats. I'm not going to
Exactly.
I needed something that wouldn't move, preferably dead. I'm like, well, I can't have a real dead cat because I'll never forgive myself. So I figured, okay, skeleton cat works. So Skelly Cat was born, and I actually just bought a nice bling necklace or cat collar, an actual cat collar that's all blingy. I went to, I think it was Walmart. You could do those little carve out dog tags, so it says Skelly Cat. So she's all fancy now. I put her on her own little pedestal. And now when I talk, usually she'll meow. Sometimes I'll put a word bubble over her head, but it's just kind of nice to have someone bounce off of me and vice versa.
And Lobo has Miss Mittens
Mm-hmm.
to
That's
bounce off of.
a
Yeah.
house plant.
Yeah.
It's just
Yep.
she doesn't have eyes. She doesn't have a voice. She's just a potted plant. She was given to me as a gift to the show, and I started talking to it, and the audience started. We started getting mail for this plant. People started asking gifts to this plant.
Yes.
And it's like the easiest thing to believe would be Mr. Lobo's a nut and it is talking to a plant, but everyone is hearing the plant talk back.
Yeah.
It's become kind of an audience participation kind of thing where the joke is not that the plant doesn't talk to Mr. Lobo. People really put a life into this potted plant. The plant's alcoholic. Plant will steal a car, you know, and you never see it do anything, but you're imagining just in the margins when we're not watching her, she's getting into all this trouble.
She's a troublemaker. And I also have 2 dolls. It's my zombie and Arabella, which is
That's right.
kid sister and my buddy that I actually bought off of Etsy.
They're terrifying.
And they're down in the
They're
basement.
Freaky. They are so freaky.
Oh, my husband can't stand them. He's like, put those back in the oil boom. I'm like, great, I've achieved my purpose.
Do you do the
Sally-
voice? Oh, I'm sorry.
Say Sally's very good with her hands. She creates these things, and she modifies these dolls and things. Are very she's
Yeah.
crafty.
They're sculpty faces, so I actually crafted their faces because I can't use the doll, but I had to create this and envision this face for the doll, and they have their own life, and I had someone make patches for me with their names so I could cover up the name on their overalls. But yeah, they're a part of my show now, and I've got these. They always criticize me, and I never quite say where they're from, but it's obviously they're coming from hell, and
Right, the
Dad had
fire in the background.
school.
Right, yeah.
they're my only paying customers, so if I want to keep my show going, I have to keep them on. That's kind of how it goes.
And
That's my
Doc,
page.
you have Bucky.
I do have Bucky, and had I realized how much trouble Bucky would have been, I would have went with the houseplant.
Oh,
Now, it does help to have that thing to bounce your conversation off of. So after doing this for almost a year, I guess it was 90 episodes, I brought Bucky in. And originally Bucky was just supposed to be behind the camera, but he's a ham. And the very next episode, he was in front of the camera telling jokes.
nice.
And he's like a white bunny, right? Like a fluffy bunny.
Well, he's a rat bit, yeah. He's a hybrid of a rabbit and a rat.
Oh, a rat bit.
He's a
A
rat.
rat bit. I created him in a petri dish, and he's part of the show now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
And she's more of a handful than Doctordread.
Are
Very
all
cute.
you guys' shows, is it all scripted, or are you guys just going along with, you turn the camera on and you just go?
I think initially in the beginning, it was mostly, all ad lib, but I do script pretty much everything. Because if I don't, I'll get in front of my camera and go, I meant to say something and I can't remember what it was. And I've got an hour and a half film to talk about.
My stuff is pretty strictly scripted at times, but I will leave huge openings to be improv.
Mhm.
And some episodes I'll improv front to back. Like if I'm at a convention or at a real space where there's just too many variables, you can't make real life go the way you want it to go. So I'll have an outline and I'll riff and improv my way through a convention appearance and turn that into an episode, or a film festival and turn that into an episode. But the ones in the studio typically are fully written with some holes to have fun.
Exactly.
Very good.
And you always meander back and forth in your scripts anyway, and I tend to do that when Lobo gives me lines for, if I'm doing a bit for his show, 9 times out of 10 I'm saying a line and then going off on my tangent and doing something. So he's used.
I like that too, because usually sometimes I'll write something and then I'll know Sally's going to be doing all this weird stuff and trying to distract me the whole time, and I just sort of I know that's going to be part of it, so I don't try to write it into it. I just sort of let it happen.
Persistently annoying.
Dr. Dread Reviews is 95% improv. The camera's rolling. Bucky has his jokes ahead of time.
Mhm.
I don't know what the jokes are, so he hits me with them. We have a whiteboard with some basic information written down, like who stars in the movie, the year the movie was made. It may be a couple of key points that I want to touch on, but it's just the camera's rolling and we go with it.
Nice.
In TV, when I worked at the ABC station, like the sportscaster would kind of do it like that, where there'd be like these bullet points they had to hit. They'd have the athletes' names. They'd have the basic who won, who lost. But they're going all over the place. However it feels in that moment when they're talking about it is what comes out.
Yeah.
Whatever falls out of my mouth, and then I have to edit it all down to a compact 18 minutes.
Where do you get
Logan?
your fez? I know
Oh,
I didn't mean to.
I got my first fez I bought at Monster Bash, and that was the red one with the Frankenstein patch. I added the patch. eBay, I've got a couple of fezzes. The real tall fez, if you've ever seen the mega fez with the
Yes.
octopus on it,
Oh, yeah.
it's plastic. That's a Dollar Tree trash can with the tassel.
Hey.
But my favorite fez was a gift from Rich Yarber, who found it in a crawl space of the Ghouls studio.
Oh wow!
So he was going through the crawl space, and he reached for something, and it turned out to be a dead mummified squirrel, and he screamed like a girl. And when he pulled it away, there was a fez sitting there, and he sent it to me. He said, I don't know if it was ever used on the show, but I found it, and here you go.
That's all.
Wow.
I need to see that letter. Dear Doctordread, I found this squirrel dead inside this fez. I thought you would like it. You're welcome.
There were still squirrel droppings inside the fez. I had to tap them out of there.
Did you sanitize it?
Those squirrel drop.
Lysol.
Lysol.
Those are magic squirrel droppings. That's like Frosty's hat. You know that's where the magic comes from, right?
That's great.
Other squirrels watching Doctorhead show going, that was Timmy's fez. I can't believe it. Fez.
So, Mr. Lobo, once I was one of the shows I was watching, Miss Mittens got super trashed. Like her leaves were falling off and everything. So was that? I mean, this might be a secret that you don't want to tell the audience, but was that a prop plant, or did Miss Mittens really fall apart?
Well, Miss Mittens and I have both been destroyed on the show many times, and so we achieve that in different ways. We do have prop plants that we use for stunts. We do have a dry, a dried out plant that we might use if she's dried out. So, or we'll swap her out, or sometimes she'll really be there, but I'll put black fabric over there to hide her, and I'll put whatever changes to her in front of that. So, and then we have a monster version of her. So she turns into it when she gets real drunk. She turns into a carnivorous version of her, prehistoric carnivorous version of herself. And then we actually get her. You actually do get to see her. The only time we get to see her move is when she's raging drunk and she turns into this other plant. So there are a lot. We swap her out a few times with some stunt mittens for sure.
There is a conga line of stunt Miss Mittens around the corner. You come here now. We
Yeah,
use
like
these.
tryouts. Do you know tryouts for the plants, and some of them were
There's a
like,
casting
"No,
couch.
you're a bad Miss Mittens."
Full of leaves.
Casting call for
Casting
plants.
couch for the plant. Nice.
Better potting soil.
I feel like there is a very, I'm trying to break that stigma of dendrophilia on my show.
Are you
We're
in love
working-
with Miss Mittens, Mr. Lobo?
We have an on again, off again sort of thing. I think once you go green, you don't go back.
You don't go back.
You go zombie, you don't go back. Yeah.
If you're a zombie, you might not have a
Yeah,
back.
if you go zombie, you
Someone might have
turn.
eaten it.
That's right.
It's got to be something with the chlorophyll.
Exactly. Right.
And you suck in the carbon dioxide, you reduce the carbon footprint, and you spit out oxygen.
Mhm.
It's great.
Mhm.
What else? What else could you ask for?
She's giving oxygen. I'm giving her carbon dioxide. It's
It's a
good.
very romantic symbiotic relationship. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. I consider it parasitic, but
So, Doc, where did you get your medical degree?
Well, one of my taglines used to be, "I'm not a real doctor." My
Mm.
lawyers make me say that.
I've seen you.
Yeah.
say- yeah.
Actually, that's on my name tag. Doctorate, not a real lawyer, not a real doctor. my character has been given forbidden knowledge by the Greys, the aliens, when I was abducted.
Oh, okay.
You
When
do have
we're-
a sci-fi vibe to your character.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, there's I'm a master of time and space, but I prefer to watch horror movies.
Priorities.
That's right.
I also like amateur dentistry and spleen removal, but
Oh,
horror
okay.
movies is number one.
It was actually one of our questions we wrote down was, what's your favorite surgery to do?
Spleen removal.
Spleen
There you go.
removal. Oh, well,
Hey, when you remove them, what do you do with them? I'm asking for a friend.
Burger King made me not disclose that information.
Sally wanted
There's a tub of ice involved.
to.
do you send them out as delicacies?
Yeah, text me later. I'll see what we can do.
Yeah, because we're undead, so we're like we're there with Sally. I don't know what
There you go.
are, but
Yeah.
you're
Hey,
My
can I
people
ask-
will talk to your people. We'll talk.
I do you and Jay about a question.
Sure.
Who was the first horror host that you saw?
Oh gosh, Sven Gulli probably
Hey.
was the first one I got into. Of course, I knew who Elvira was, but I don't think my mom wouldn't let me watch Elvira, so it wasn't until I was older that I started watching horror hosts. But Sven Gulli is who sticks out in my mind.
Yeah, like I said, a classic host. Once
Yeah.
Me TV went national, all that it was like that secret that just the Chicago people had. Everyone got to enjoy and see what he was doing all these years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, the original Sven Gulli, for a very brief time, he was in Philly also.
Right.
That was after Dr. Shock had passed.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
they didn't get the humor. The people in Philadelphia
Oh.
just didn't quite get the Sven Gulli. So
Was that Jerry Bishop, the first Fed
yes, that was Jerry.
But didn't work out. I don't think he lasted too long out here, maybe a couple of years or so.
The Ghoul they tried to syndicate also. He was briefly syndicated, I think, for a year or so, and we had him out in California.
Mhm.
We had the Ghoul out in California on I think all the Kaiser broadcasting stations had the Ghoul.
Right.
I really love the history of all the hosts and the
yeah.
research that I do to learn who my grandfathers were in this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. It's great. Like I feel like Vampira was the mother of us all.
Mhm.
Yes,
And-
Vampira the mother and Zachary sort of like the father of us all.
That's right.
I think so. And then like Goulardi's like the weird uncle.
That's right.
Yeah, he's the
Yeah.
weird alcoholic uncle your parents warn you not to get too close
Yeah.
to.
That's right.
Yeah.
Someone at parties that he's always in the corner with a beer can in his hand. Smells bad.
Ah.
Oh, well, I actually think my first horror host might have been the Creep Show.
Oh, okay. The Creep. In Creep Show, he's called
yeah, because actually the other while
the
back
Crypt-
we caught Creep Show, or we caught something, or I can't remember, we rented something, and I was like, well, where's the creep? I remember the gross
Mhm.
dead guy talking, and he was explaining to me like, yeah, that used to be a show on, so now that my memory's kicking in, so I like snuck and watched Creep Show.
Well, there's the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt, and
Right.
then there's the Creep movie. In the movie Creep Show and Creep Show 2, they have the Creep.
Yes.
So those,
Okay,
those
so maybe I'm getting them mixed up.
You might
Maybe
be
I'm thinking
getting
about
mixed
the
up.
Crypt Keeper.
they're both inspired by the comic books of the 50s, EC comic books. There was Vault of Horror and Tales from the Crypt, and in those comics they had the Old Witch,
Yes.
the Crypt Keeper, and the Vault Keeper.
Yes.
And for the TV show Tales from the Crypt, they combined all three of those characters into one really crazy puppet.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people watching it either on HBO or on Fox, that was for a certain generation. John Kassir as the Crypt Keeper was their horror host,
Okay.
anthology host.
Yeah.
I'm a bit inspired by Rod Serling, who was an
Oh
anthology
gosh,
host.
yeah.
I was going to mention
Well,
that. Yeah.
Yeah, because
And
he was a horror host, definitely.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, he
so.
was, and undoubtedly. And one of the regrets I have is not keeping the Tales from the Crypt magazines, because I had pretty much everything all through the
Oh my
years.
gosh,
I
Sally.
used to love reading them.
You should have kept them.
It
Oh
was a
my
long
God.
time ago.
Well, and then you have Robert Stack, who was doing the what was that?
Unsolved mysteries.
Yeah, Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh.
He scared me when I was a kid watching that. His hosting style scared me, so maybe that's a horror host too.
I would agree that he is.
Yeah.
You know, my girls had Girl Scouts when Unsolved Mysteries came on. I think it was every Wednesday and Friday night, or maybe it was Tuesday and Thursday, whatever the hours were. But I was really annoyed when I had to leave without finding out the end of whatever mystery story he was talking about, because he was just so darn creepy.
Yeah.
You can help me. You can help me solve this mystery. What's funny about this is that like he would be in the fog, and he'd have
Like a London fog.
He'd have the trench coat on and the
Trench
black
coat,
tie.
yeah.
Well, like the later seasons, they try to make him casual. They put him in a windbreaker or something.
Right.
Like, "Ew,
Yeah.
where's Robert
And
Stack?
she-
Who's this guy?"
But that was a show you watched with all the lights on, because you couldn't leave the lights off because you're watching like, what was that? The door! Lock it!
And I would always be like, "Oh, please let there be one of the unexplained, tales. One of the unexplained. Let there be some
Yeah.
aliens or something."
Yeah.
And a UFO came flying through the sky.
Maybe you saw that. You were drinking. I don't know. Now, Sally was talking about her horror host, Count Gordeval.
Yep.
Which was in what DC.
Yes, WDCA Channel 20 out of Washington, D.C.
And
He
that
was
was-
my first one.
and that was Creature Feature with Count Gordeval.
Yes.
And what was interesting is that out at the same time on the West Coast, there was Creature Features, which was the show I was watching with Bob Wilkins, who ended up mentoring me later.
Mm-hmm.
But both Dick and Bob have a lot of similarities to where they showed the same package of movies.
Mm-hmm.
They had the Creature Feature package was shipped to a lot of different stations across the country. So when Dick was showing Night of the Living Dead uncut for the first time on television, Bob was also showing
yeah.
Night of the Living Dead
Uncut for the first time on television.
And then Dick Dizell was in the afternoons. He was a cartoon host called Captain 20.
That's right.
And Bob Wilkins was an afternoon sci-fi cartoon host called Captain Cosmic. So they would kind of task the horror host with the job of hosting the cartoon.
And
I
prior,
see, that
before
makes
Captain
sense.
Tony and Count Gore was Bozo. Dick Dizell played Bozo the Clown for the
Oh.
DC audience. So
And you
yeah.
slept with
I didn't
Bozo.
know any of this.
Bozo. I went to Susan and Dick's house. They live in Florida. And I had their guest room, and there's this huge picture of Bozo over the bed. I'm like,
Oh, weird.
Bozo.
And the clown suit was in the closet.
I have a
too.
video of the clowns.
Oh.
Wow.
Look, here it is. I'm touching the hem of Bozo's clown suit.
I'm like, this is the last video I'm going to ever see of Sally. It's her and Bozo's.
Have you seen Sally? Oh, I don't know. She went home. We never saw her.
Standing there with a shovel.
That's right. She was real good. I mean, she was fun to have over.
I mean, do you think someone would want to eat you, Sally? I mean, being a
Probably not. I'm a zombie. I've been a zombie for a while. Too rotten. No. A little bitter.
a little bitter.
Not good eating. Nope.
No. So how about you, Doc, with all your time traveling and stuff? How do you think you would taste? Because
How would I
the undead
taste?
want to know.
Nah. With the cheap vodka, I'm pretty much zombie safe.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much well preserved. Yeah.
I'm delicious. Yeah, I'm all caramely delicious.
Okay.
Anything. Anything.
I'll make you a zombie yet.
May have to flee for my life here at some point.
But I'm guessing you ate before this, otherwise Mr. Lobo would be in trouble.
We did come from a con where there were hundreds and
Lots of
probably
people.
thousands of fleshies. So yes, I had my fill.
It'll take a long time to figure out who's missing.
Someone goes dumpster diving to find bits of flesh. What's that? I don't know. I'll just bury it over.
Half a brony.
Half a bronies in there, yeah. That's the parts I did. All that fur. I'm still thick. And the hair right there.
Yeah, all the gamers probably with their soda, drinking all the soda, they were probably super sweet,
Oh yeah, a lot of Mountain Dew.
That's
Got
right.
jacked up on secondhand Mountain Dew eating those gamers.
I'll be awake days.
So soft and supple from the lack of exercise.
It's like me on a train. Sit there in that chair with their VR on and their Cheetos and soda.
Just soften themselves up
It's
for
like
you.
sponge cake.
Yeah. Oh my god. It's
Get chocolate frosting, vanilla frosting, sour cream. It's all kinds of flavors.
Sure, yeah. So, Doc, what made you want to review movies?
Well, it started out I wanted to be a host.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
But
Re-asking you a question.
I saw Bird Box. I watched Bird Box. There was so much hype about the movie Bird Box, and it ended up being my first episode because I watched it and I was so disappointed because of the hype. I was so disappointed, and at the time, one of the he was a college kid at the time, but he was in my youth group, and he was on his college radio station doing movie reviews, and the thought occurred to me, I love movies. I could be, I have some free time. I could be doing movie reviews. So I right after seeing Bird Box, I went up to my office, and it was very impromptu. I put on my robe, I put on a fez, and I just got in front of my phone and spilled my heart out about it's not all it's cracked up to be. And that was the start of it.
Wow. Just on a whim, you just started recording, and wow.
I think it's like a superhero origin story. I have some sunglasses and a fez, and I'm gonna go out here and fight crime. All right, this movie was terrible.
I became the Batman of movie reviewers.
I like it. Always jealous because I'll do like a show with all these like interesting characters with like capes and like funny, like weird, makeups and stuff. And it's like, and then people will see me and they go, now, is he the manager of the hotel? Is this we leave our keys with him? Or so a lot of times, like I have like a red jacket I'll wear sometimes, or I'll try to jazz it up a little bit so that if you're not familiar with the show, I look like I'm in showbiz at least.
Yeah.
Sally will probably agree with this, but throwing on the glasses and the fez or the jacket and the striped tie is so much easier than pulling out the Lon Chaney makeup box, and applying.
I have that box.
Yeah, you gotta.
I was pretty surprised. Like, tonight was the first time I got ready in like 15 minutes. I was like, whoa, how did I do that? And I put stuff on in a different order, and somehow
It's about half
an hour to 40. My arms, neck, face.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
The effect on camera, because I don't look that pale in person, but on camera I glow, so I make sure everything's covered because I love the look when I'm editing.
Yeah.
It's a really good look. It's
Yeah.
a very iconic character. like I said, a lot of my choices is just like, if there was like a cape, I would have lost it. It would have stopped that weird wig that I like to wear, or the nose would leave in the car and it would
Sure.
melt.
Would melt.
So I didn't like, I couldn't count. I knew I could keep this going. It's like, okay, I can count on this. This isn't too different than how I look anyway. I can live with it. It's something I can live with. And I thought in the beginning, it's like, well, this really catches on. I want it to be something that I can sort of keep going. And I didn't have a lot of confidence in, if I had a special costume or something, I just thought I would destroy it or lose it or mess it up.
Yeah, I would kill to just put a hat on or a jacket and go, hey, stop here.
Yeah, his takes like 5 minutes. Not even 5 minutes.
5 minutes will be great.
I think
This was literally 5 minutes before I hit the Zoom button.
Yeah.
Boom, boom,
Where's that?
boom.
Gloves,
Boom, boom,
glasses.
boom.
Here.
Well, we just did a
I feel like Doc's is very Midwest, where it's like you put gloves on, sunglasses, like it's that sort of Mad Daddy kind of like, okay, all right, this is going to be my persona, and then you can get in and get out.
But it works.
My host was Dr. Shock, and
Okay.
he did the whole Zachary makeup thing. That was sort of his bit, and there's just no way that I could weekly deal with putting on the makeup and making sure it was right, and not with the time constraints I have to deal with.
Yeah.
Dr. Shock got permission from Zachary. You probably knew about that.
Oh yeah.
Zachary moved on to New York. And,
Yes.
Was it John Zweiback? How do you pronounce his last name? Do
It
you
was
know?
Joseph Zwislak.
Yes,
Joseph Zwislak. Yeah. His daughter, who appeared on the show, is still in the Philadelphia area. And they run a Facebook group, but he was my hero growing up. I mean, when I watched the scary stuff, even though he was scary looking, he made it not so scary. He was friendly. He was a friendly ghoul. And, I would watch his show, as a kid in front of the TV set, like 6 inches away from the screen. And every time a commercial came on, I would run back out to the kitchen to make sure my mom was still there and everything was safe. But then I would run right back to the TV set and, wait for Dr. Shock to do his magic tricks or to tell his jokes and do his skits.
See, I was the opposite. I had to wait because I was only allowed to watch PBS growing up when I was younger. So on Saturday nights when Count Gore would show up, I would run and see if I was at my grandmother's, my grandmother was sleeping, and then come back and watch. Or if I was home, my mother was out for the evening, and I was okay because she wouldn't come back till much later. So that's how I ran that.
Dr. Shock ran on Saturday afternoons when I was little. So it was, and he brought his daughter on, who was, 5 years old at the time, to make it safer for Channel 17 to show his show. Now, when we went to my grandparents' house, it was Chilly Billy, and that was a whole different, that was the Pittsburgh experience.
And Chilly Billy was when they were doing American Scary, they were talking about the different horror hosts. They put like Bob Wilkins, Chilly Billy, and me in the sort of normal guy category.
Yes.
He's the guy. There's not he's not a ghoul, he's not a mad scientist, he's not a witch, he's just a guy. And but
Chilly Billy would wear the bad tuxedos with the ruffles.
Yes.
yeah, he would do that. But I feel like Chilly Billy would wear anything you asked him to. I think
probably
game for anything, right? He was hosting the wrestling stuff. He was at every shopping mall opening, he'd sing the national anthem at the games and stuff. He just was on for anything. He was down for it. Yeah.
I never got to meet Dr. Shock in person, which I really would have loved to. He passed way too young. But I did get to meet Chilly Billy out in Pittsburgh, and I got this there's a picture, I got this big goofy smile on my face, like this is my hero.
He was one of the best, and he was so good to his fans. It was always great to just watch him interact with his fans because he gave his time for everyone.
Yeah, I met Zachary a few times. He knew me, he knew my character, he loved my character. I've got photos of which I should dig up. And it breaks my heart that I should have stayed more in contact with him than I did. But you take it for granted. I know so many horror hosts, and Zachary was one of the ones I would go out and see once in a while. And we'd talk and we'd sit down and have dinner and get a group of people and chat. And then he passed a few years ago, and it was heartbreaking because I didn't know that obviously he was ill, things were going on, and I wasn't keeping up with him. So it's, like what Count Gore and their family in Florida, I'm a little better about it because I worry. I don't want to be in that situation where I could have spent more time, maybe done a little bit more with them. And Zachary was an amazing guy, just a fun horror host and a sweet man. He loved his fans and he loved what he was doing. He did it almost up to the day he died.
He's a lifer. A lot of horror hosts are. It's the best, worst job in the world.
Yes.
So a lot of people, they're a lifer. It's part of you. It becomes part of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
doctordread, you got years ago.
So, Mr. Lobo and Sally, you've been on for so long. Do you guys have day jobs, or is the horror hosting your job?
He has a day job. It's a little complicated because yes, I do make money with my show, not necessarily with my show per se, but with merchandising and distribution. I have 34 titles on Alpha Video DVD. I have episodes on Blu-ray. I have my own fundraising for the studio and stuff like that. I do a lot of kind of creative jobs that are peripheral to that. So I do voiceovers, I do acting, I do producing. So even though I don't have a straight job, I guess I should say, I don't have like a day job. So I have 100% creative jobs in which being a horror host is one of those jobs.
Yeah. And I have a day job.
What is your day job?
I don't want to go into this because it's a big company, but I work in quality. Yeah. Pay the bill so I can do this.
Yeah. And Doc,
Beaker.
do you have a day job besides surgeries and such?
For 32 years, I was an armed security officer at a nuclear power plant.
Ooh.
Wow.
Oh,
And,
you got your time traveling abilities?
32 years I worked there. And my left eye decided not to work so well anymore. And I'm on disability now, but that opened up the horror hosting to me. So,
nice. Yeah.
Wow. That explains the nice glow you have when you're on your shows. I understand it all.
The radiation may have something to do with the time travel. Not sure.
Instead of uranium class, it's uranium doctorate.
So, Mr.
Awesome.
Lobo, you've I recall seeing some previews for some movies that you were producing.
Well, I am in. Okay, well, I've been in several movies. I think probably Plan 9 was my biggest role in a movie.
Oh, right, yeah, I couldn't remember that. I was like, which one was it? Yeah, Plan 9.
Right now, I've got small bits in a bunch of independent movies. So I just did a voiceover for The Barn 2. I was the announcer at the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards. So so I did a bunch of announcing bits on that for Shudder. I did work on the movie The Ranger for Shudder. I did a lot of the art direction on Shudder on The Ranger, the animated opening sequence I did. I designed actually the whole record album with all the punk songs. I designed the whole album and the logo and all that for that movie. And then there's a couple of indie films. One of them is called Die Daisy Die, which hasn't come out yet, and another one's called Pizza Guy 8, which hasn't come out yet. But usually what will happen is an independent filmmaker will contact me and they'll go, hey, we would love to have Mr. Lobo do a voice or do a cameo in our movie. And, a lot of times I'll do it cheap. So, because I like playing. I like playing. I like creating, and I like working with young. I like working with young filmmakers. You know, I feel like I have a lot to teach and I have a lot to learn, and I feel like, you know, the smartest person in the dental office is the dental tech that's fresh out of school,
Right.
not the senior dentist. You know,
That's
so
right.
Someone
I
still has a fresh, open mind.
yeah, fresh open mind, and they're learning all the new stuff, you know. So I feel like I can teach them a lot of the old stuff, and I can learn a lot of the new stuff. And so I like I said, we had Dylan and Tate in there. They're both the age of my kids. They're in there with a compact VHS camera, making this, like, you know, weird grindcore VHS slasher movie, you know, at our studio, and I'm having a blast with these kids, you know. So I like that kind of creativity. But then, you know, then I'll work on something for Shudder, which is like really corporate and, you know, like straight ahead, and like contracts you got to read with a magnifying glass and things like that, you know.
Yeah.
And they like want to, like, yeah. So, you know, it's all across, you know, across the board.
Oh, oh, that's great. And so we talked about cats, but so we all have actual children, like real children, all of us do.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. It's so funny that we talked about our cats first.
Pointed out to me at work, I have a one of the Apple Watches, and one of my coworkers went, "You have kids, don't you?" Yeah. Well, you only have pictures of cats on there because I see it. It's like, well, yeah, my kids are in college. I have cats home now, and it's all getting like cats. I'm like, why would I have pictures of my kids? They're grown. It's so bad.
The cats are home. Yeah, I get it.
Right. Yeah. So we have a
But no.
21-year-old.
I have a 21 and a 26-year-old.
Okay.
I have a 23, a 24, and a 34-year-old.
Okay.
That's not possible, Sally.
No, it doesn't seem possible.
I'm on the spot. I have a 40-year-old and a 37-year-old, and I have 4 grandkids.
A 40-year-old
wow.
and a
4 grandkids.
Did you say 40 or
No, 4. One
40?
daughter is 40, the other's 37, and I have 4 grandkids.
4 grandkids.
Wow.
2 boys, 2 girls.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Great. Do you get a lot of grandpa time with them?
I do. We actually babysit the 3-year-old, so she's here Monday through Friday
Oh, nice.
from like 6:30 till 4.
Nice.
Oh,
That's cool.
that sounds too fun. And the nice thing about grandkids, you can go, oh, he's so cute. Here you go. See?
Take that.
Give me a picture.
Where does Bucky get his jokes, Doc?
Oh, Bucky's one of Bucky's favorite pastimes. When he's not down here in the subterranean laboratory pestering the crap out of me, Bucky can be found volunteering at the library. He's an expert at the Dewey Decimal System, and he gets all of his jokes from the local library.
Oh, wonderful.
Because he eats all the library. Lots of knowledge.
Well, you know, the librarians love him because he's just bouncing back and forth, putting books away, just anything they need. Sweeping the floor, scrubbing the toilet. He don't care. He's in the library.
Does he scrub the toilet with a scrubber, or does he use his head?
No. Scrubber, please, scrubber.
And so some behind the scenes stuff. Who does the voice for Bucky?
Well, you know, my wife is the puppeteer.
Okay.
And she does the voice, but the character of Bucky has probably been around for well over 20 years. My wife has always babysat kids,
Oh.
and she has a couple of stuffed animals, and she would tell stories with the stuffed animals, and one of the stuffed animals' names was Bucky. So she already had the voice and the character. And when it came to me needing somebody to bounce off of, that just seemed like the very natural thing to do.
That's cool. That's great.
Well,
And
my wife is in the show sometimes too, and I guess your kids are in the show sometimes.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they were when they were younger, and then I started growing up and getting other interests and not wanting to be Zombie or Zomboy or Charlie the Zombie anymore. So my earlier show, I started it because I worked with my kids. So it was fun working with my kids and doing the shows. That was kind of our bonding time. So my first 5, 6, 10 shows, you could watch my kids go as they grew up. And eventually, like, we want to go play with friends and real people now. So, you know, I let them out of the lair. They escaped. I mean, they left on their own free will. And now I just do it for the love of horror hosting and films and the collaboration between other horror hosts and just having a good time. So, honestly. Hi, Mischief. How you doing?
We noticed in your credits, it's like mostly you, but there's another name. Is that your husband or you have a camera person? I can't recall.
Oh, I put Aaron in there because he, when he shoots some video for me, so when I show Count Gord, Aaron shot that footage, so I actually put him there. I'm a one-stop shop. I do my own photography, my own editing, my own cat wrangling, all the voices, everything, the script writing, it's all me. So yeah,
It's pretty impressive because you'll be working on 4 episodes at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
a lot
I'm
of
doubly
writing.
impressed now because for some reason I thought you had like a co-person that was helping you with everything, but you're doing it all yourself.
Yeah, I wish I had a little bit of help, but it's been working so far. I mean, if things get a little more advanced or things start taking off, I could bring someone along to help me. But right now, I can handle it, and I'm enjoying it. So
Yeah.
I think most do everything on their own. I think.
Cool.
Uh,
And do you have? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, does anybody enjoy the editing process other than me? Because most people I talk to, thank you, Bones. Most people I talk to really hate that editing process, but that's sort of where the magic happens in my show. With the sound effects and the.
Oh yeah.
So I was with the editing process. Lobo, do you do the editing? Do you hate it?
It's sad because I don't have time for it anymore. Like Aaron does all the editing now, but in the early days, I did a lot of it. And sometimes I edit some of the commercials and things that you see. But I do enjoy editing. I just unfortunately I've kind of reached a point where it's so time consuming that it's hard to justify putting my time in that part of it. But I really do enjoy the editing process.
Yeah, I like it. And again, time consuming. So I like it, but I hate it as well.
Yeah.
We split the cost of it. So like the mini movies that we come up with, I will do most of the editing on that, and she will collaborate with me on some of the points that I get stuck on. But for the rest of the show, like the interviewing that she does with the authors and stuff like we're doing right now, she'll edit that down.
Yeah.
And then I'll go ahead and put like my 10-minute part into the rest of the show.
Yeah. Sometimes he works on a ship, so he's only home.
I'm a merchant mariner.
Yeah, so he's only home like gone 2 weeks and then home 2 weeks. And so and that was one of the other reasons why we stopped doing a monthly show, because it was like he'd be home. It's like, okay, we got to make a show. Okay, we got to make a show, And so it's like, okay, so that's why we changed it every other month. But in the beginning, he was editing the whole thing together, and I was just like editing because we have segments, and so like we edit each segment and then we bring it all together. But he did the first couple, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then we just found that it was easier to take our time because we were feeling just constantly like we were strapped for time, and it was like, go to work, don't worry about it, I'll take care of getting it all put together. So yeah, it works out, and he's a really good editor. Like he does all the he does all the I don't know, like with some of the mini movies, he's come up with just some. I mean, you like suddenly feel like you're about to watch this feature film. You know, it's like the music and the effects and stuff, and then we just get hokey with it. But yeah. And I like Sally, you know, I enjoy it, but it's so time consuming that it's like, ugh, this is the work. You know, it's more fun doing this than editing it. And this will be edited down for the full episode. We'll just choose some key points. I think I do 7 minutes for each interview. So I have to way edit it down, which is so hard when it's such a great conversation like this. It's like this. I'm already thinking like this is gonna be so hard to edit down to 7 minutes. But then like later in the month that it's released, we will release the full unedited interview. But yeah.
When Bucky and I come down to our laboratory and we're just improvising back and forth, we may do 35-40 minutes of banter, and then I have to condense that to 18-19 minutes of show. So I feel your pain.
My biggest problem with editing is on the front side, I feel, because as I getting more and more into my writing, I before in the early episodes it was like so hard to come up with things, so it kind of was self-regulating. But usually once I sit down and I start writing, I'll write for 2 or 3 days, and I'll have 45 pages of material around a movie, and it's like, where is this all going to go? And and so that's why we have some of these episodes that are like 3.5 hours long, because it's like I'm almost competing with the movie, where I'm writing my own movie around the movie. So I'm trying to reel it in now, especially now that we're kind of we're putting our stuff back on broadcast again. A lot of the newer episodes are too long to kind of be convenient for them. So I'm going to try to edit some of those down to the 2 hours size.
Yeah.
We have some people who volunteered to help us trim some of those old ones down. But I'm looking at in the future, maybe trying to do some episodes that are shorter and on purpose, and to try to write a little, not as fat. Try not to write them as fat. I'm not trying to showboat. I'm not trying to make it fat. Just that I'm really enjoying it. I'm hearing all those characters talking to each other, or I'm having a bunch of ideas, and I just want all those ideas. And I usually do tell Aaron, we could drop a host segment or drop this. And I think Aaron would rather drop part of the movie than drop any of the host segments. Yeah. So they just ended up getting long because of the pandemic. People liked that they were long. They could just sort of put them kind of meander and just sort of set it and forget it. So we let them get long, but now we can't keep going with these 3.5 hour episodes. We're gonna have to the other way.
No more lockdown, right? Well, and I actually admit there was one night that I had Mr. Lobo on PMN, and it was one of the beach monster ones, and it was one of the really slow ones. And so I was editing our show as you were playing in the background.
That's a high compliment. When people say they're making art or writing or sewing or having it, like, that's what it's for. Like, I love when people have it sort of integrated into their life. It's not like, it's not like, what do you call it? Album rock, where you're supposed to, have your headphones and be glued to every bit of it. I feel like it's good to just sort of have it on in the room as part of your evening. Yep. As you're falling asleep. People always say, "Oh, I always put you on when I'm going to sleep." It's like, that's great.
It's their white noise. It's kind of nice. That
every time you watch it, it's a new show. You're gonna, and so I don't mind.
I'd run back in when you came on, because I'm one of those that it's like on YouTube, oftentimes I'll just fast forward the movie.
That's a weird one too.
Segments are most fun for me. The host segment. Yeah. The
Horror Party Beach one that you're talking about was one where it was, if that's the one you're talking about, I think the front half was all scripted and the back half was all improv. So I had written up to a point, and I said, okay, once we get to the party, we'll just make it up as we go along. But up to the party was all tightly scripted.
Oh wow. Wow. Okay. Well, next time I mean, I can watch it on YouTube, but I don't have to watch it on BMN. That's the cool thing about YouTube, right? I'll have to check it out and see if I can tell the difference between the script
One
and the
top here, yeah.
Now, Sally, you actually teach a classroom of monsters. Where did you get your teaching degree?
Well, it depends on what brain I ate that. I mean, what actually I hugged that day, but yeah, I kind of, back in the day when I was a cheerleader, I had an old band in high school, and I read a lot of books and found these VHS tapes, and I realized that, fleshies don't like us so much. So I try to educate fleshies about monsters, that we're not so bad, or, vice versa. And, usually I'll just have like little tidbits and fun facts sprinkled in. But it's mainly that, it's hard to explain, but it's mainly eating the brains. Yeah. Because knowledge is power and transferable.
So what was one of the worst brains you've ever eaten?
Well, I don't know. Some of the ones down south can be pretty nasty.
A racist brain or homophobic?
Yeah, the inbred ones are the worst. They just
Oh.
And Lobo's gone. Tastes like my sister's brother, mother. No.
How do you come back from racist inbred brains? That's what I want to do.
You know what? The people that are actually moving around, the better.
When you want to see a zombie vomit.
Yes, that's when you'll see a zombie vomit. It goes in, it goes right down.
And Doc, how often do you time travel?
It takes a lot out of me, often when I'm watching a movie and I phase out, I'll time travel back to 15 minutes to watch it again.
When did you switch fezzes? Did you just time travel? Because I thought you were wearing the octopus fez.
Yes, he was.
He's changed.
How does that happen?
What?
Yeah,
I
I've watched him change, what, 3 or 4 times?
I haven't seen it at
Three
all.
times.
I was like, wait a minute, what?
I only noticed the 2.
Yeah, this is the first one. This is my first fez.
First
And,
one, yep.
If you go back and you see the leopard print fez, that'll be the one that Rich found up in the crawl space with the dead squirrel in it.
Nice.
And he's changed it. I'm watching him. I like the leopard one, but the leopard skin one, but the Frankenstein one is my favorite because that is your first one.
That's the
my
first
favorite,
one.
too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a lot of love for this one. I've been called a wait a minute. Not a Shriner, but a Frankenschreiner. Frankenschreiner.
Now, was Frankenschreiner the doctor or the monster? That's what I always get confused.
That's the fez. You're not paying attention.
Yes.
If you were if you could choose to be any monster, what would it be? Or no, I'm sorry, that's not the question. I'm gonna edit that. That was not the question, because some of us are already monsters. Who's your favorite monster? That's a big one. I
Who's
know.
answering
If you had to choose just one monster.
Just one? That's like a favorite.
Oh, I know. You gotta have one hard question.
Like I never was into vampires very much. I like them. I think they're cool, but I can't imagine being a vampire. As a kid, I think I always liked Frankenstein because he was misunderstood. The Wolfman was too sad. I always just felt bad for the Wolfman.
Yeah.
But honestly, of the Universal ones, I think I really loved the Invisible Man because he was so crazy. Even the moon is afraid of me. Bonkers, and then just just a naked dude running around in the snow screaming at the top of his lungs.
Technically you could do that now,
True.
Don't
People
know
would
what
pretend not.
happened, but
No, you'd be in.
Go on and wrap yourself up, yeah. Oh, I mean, that's a hard one. I think the only one that will jump into my brain because I'm a Bela Lugosi fan, hardcore Bela Lugosi, it's going to be Dracula. I mean, I could never be a Dracula, but I just think the sheer, and it was all sensuality. It was seductive. It was menacing. It was alluring. It was terrifying. I mean, the emotion, the impact that character and just the eyes alone was, it just resonated with me even as a child. It's like you were scared, but you kind of liked it. It was a very interesting combination of horror and fantasy. And I think that his portrayal of Dracula and the Universal monsters from that era, they didn't have the best scripts, they didn't have the best special effects. Everything that the actors did, all their stunts more or less, and their own makeup. So they had to put a lot into that character. They made that life, and they had to make you feel what you were seeing because it's black and white, it's grainy. They don't have much in the way of design or set or sound. There's a lot of crackling noise. So there was still that very vaudevillian and I incorporate it with my movement and my eyes, and you have to give them more than just lines coming out, because a lot of these, when talkies came along, they couldn't really act. So when you had Bela, and he couldn't really speak English for the longest time, it was all in gestures and facial features in his eyes. You felt that character. You may not have understood him, or he wasn't very clear, but you knew what he was. You could feel him.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Bela Lugosi was, my favorite Dracula.
Yeah. Now, Lugosi, his Dracula was probably my first monster movie character that I remember, and it was the power that he had over people that was just, it drew me in. Come where he just with the hands, and he had so he was like my introduction to the monsters, but I'm not like that at all. I mean, I'm like Frankenstein. I'm barely stumbling around, trying to get through doors, knocking into scenery, reaching
one hand, fucking the other.
Drink good. That's me.
I like the point that you made, Sally, about the not having sound and trying to get all of those emotions onto the camera. So the mini movies, and I hope you guys get a chance to watch the mini movies that we've made, they're silent films. And so with this mask on, I had to work really hard to convey a lot of the emotional aspects of the particular scene that we were doing with no expression whatsoever, with nothing.
Right.
No eyes.
There's an expression. It's just same the whole time.
It's a little movement. It's a twitch. It's a thing, that I was practicing really hard to convey in the very short amount of time that we had to make the little movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, and we're not really actors, so when we started, we had these ideas, and it's like, well, I don't really feel like talking. Can we just put a black and white effect and the old film effect and not talk and just have the dialogue boxes? And he was like, sure.
Let's do that.
We actually just, like, for this episode, we actually did a talking, but it's a newscast rather than an actual mini film. So it's going to be our first one that's different.
Yeah.
in the silent as the grave is what we call it. The portion is called silent as the grave. So this is a not so silent as the grave. But yeah.
Awesome, very cool. I like the creativity of making your own films. I wish we had more time for that. We do some like fake commercials and film skits here and there. I know I've done some second unit directing on some things, but I would love to do more more narrative stuff.
Yeah,
I used to do commercials with my kids back in the day. I should pull some of those out, but the quality is a little cruddy. So I'll try to salvage more of those, and because I had fun. I had human rap and
Human rap?
Yes.
Nice.
All right. I basically Charlie the Zombie. If you try you're a zombie, are you tired of chasing fleshies? Well, there's human rap. So basically we hung this painter's tarp, clear painted plastic tarp in a tree, and then my middle child, Zomboy, he was basically the fleshy caught. So there's a picture of Charlie the Zombie wrapping my child up in this plastic. Which you probably can't do now. And there's a picture, a close-up of him. He's got it in his mouth. He's going, and he's sucking the plastic. It'll stay fresh. Then I have Todd, what rolls downstairs and
Wow.
I mean, squishy sound. It's Todd, it's Todd, it's a head, it's Todd. And I have my daughter playing with this. I have Todd downstairs where she's tossing it up in the air. It's fun, like hominy grids. I wrote this whole bit for it. I gotta pull those out because they were so fun. I was probably 7 when I did that.
When you pull them out, you should send some to us. We'll
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think child services would have been all over me a long time ago. But my kids are doing okay. They're in college. Their brains are fine.
Well, as a zombie, you would know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Brain expert. Yeah.
That's
That's
a good
why
one.
I'm safe, just because I've got a hollow head.
It's like that Homer Simpson episode.
Yeah.
Brains.
What's the worst movie you've reviewed, Doc?
Scrawl. SCRAWL.
Oh.
Scrawl. I used to cartoon in high school, so when I read the back of the DVD, it was about somebody who had a notebook full of cartoons, and the cartoons ended up coming true, or what he would draw in the book would come true. It turns out it was a very, like, a first attempt at a college class movie. It was
Somebody's project.
college students put together the movie, and I've never done that. I don't want to badmouth them too much, but I really had a problem sitting through that one. And I've said that a couple of times, but going back since then, I've reviewed a lot of independent films, and I've been asked by people who have made films, can you review this film for me? And I'm always kind of afraid because they're friends, and I don't want to like watch 2 hours of garbage and then have to say, boy, that was really garbage. But you have to remember the work and the passion and the love that goes into the creation process. So when I do watch an independent film, I sort of grade it differently than I would a big budget, overblown CGI orchestra movie that's supposed to bring in millions. So I have a love for the independent filmmaker and for the creativity and the process that they do to actually bring it to the screen, because it's not easy.
No.
And but Scrawl was the very worst. That was horrible. Sorry, that was that was hot garbage. It was bad.
Hot garbage. I love it.
Hot garbage.
Can we just make a movie called Hot Garbage?
Yeah, there you go.
I'd watch it.
It's called Bird Box. Mine was I Drink Your Blood. I think hands down that was the worst film I've ever shown on so many gosh darn levels.
I was that was one that I watched of yours, Sally, and uh-oh, we're getting some echo, sorry. Why is that happening? Okay, that was weird. Sorry, we were getting some echo and I couldn't figure out what changed. Yeah, that was one I saw on your show, Sally, and yeah, that movie was hard to get through.
Oh. I had to do a lot with that. I think towards the end I became rapid myself because I had pies made for me by Arabelle and my zombie. So
that was one I was definitely fast forwarding to your bits.
Yeah, that was a hard sell. Some of the bad ones are some of the funnest ones that just because you're watching going, what?
Again, I have a soft spot for the misunderstood movies, and I actually feel like part of my job is to be hamburger helper. Part of my job is to turn that movie into a good time somehow.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So I try to have fun. Try to have fun with movies.
Yeah.
I did a hosting of the Ghost of Hanley House, and the Ghost of Hanley House really isn't a good movie, but I had the funnest time adding my bits into it and sound effects, and hopefully people enjoyed it more than they would have the original version.
Yeah.
I have a lot of people who say, I've never made it all the way through this movie before. You're watching it on your show was the first time I've ever actually sat through the whole movie.
Nice.
So, but like, as far as like the one that I always use as a joke in my live stream lately has been Devil Bat's Daughter, because absolutely nothing happens in that movie. And the Devil Bat's so great. The Devil Bat has Bela Lugosi. Bela Lugosi puts this like aftershave on you, and then he releases this bat, and the bat comes and finds you and tears your throat out. And he does it to like does it to like 5 people across this whole movie. In The Devil Bat's Daughter, okay, it's years later. There's just a woman. She's in therapy, and the guy's gaslighting her supposedly. So it's like the whole gaslight thing, trying to make her think she's crazy. And then at the very end, she was going, oh, he was trying to make me think that my father was this terrible man and was a vampire, and really he was a good man. And it's like, no, we saw that other movie. Your father was not a good man. Can't just like 11th hour what do you call that, retro script the first movie into something else. So is that one, and there's nothing in that movie. There's no devil bat in the movie. There's no anything in the movie. It's just literally gaslight. It's literally just the psychiatrist trying to make her think she's going crazy, and that's the whole movie. And then at the last minute, they just added a couple of flashbacks from the first Devil Bat, and just called it Devil Bat's Daughter. So that, to me, I feel like whenever you bait and switch your audience, you deserve a little more criticism.
Yeah.
If you're bringing in somebody on a certain promise, okay, this is another Devil Bat movie, and there literally is no actual Devil Bat in the movie. Like Bride of the Gorilla is the same. There's no gorilla in Bride of the Gorilla.
Right.
Like if you bring people in on a promise and literally bite the hand that feeds you, I feel like you do deserve to get torn down.
The way they could have ended that movie, Devil Bat's Daughter, is she could have left, I'm not crazy, and then gifted him this perfume.
There you go.
I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to help me, but have this. You'll enjoy it. Eau de toilette. And he sprays it all one night, and these bats got.
Yeah.
And the
That would have been a good ending.
I would have enjoyed that.
Yep. It's lavender. You'll love it.
That is one thing, is like seeing even like the bad movies, like if Bela Lugosi is in it, or Peter Cushing, we watched, what was that called, the Blood Beast Terror.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that was a pretty bad movie, but it was like Peter Cushing was Peter Cushing. I mean, he was amazing in it. Like every time
He's
he
always amazing. We're
uh,
really lucky that a lot of these wonderful actors like Peter Cushing, like Donald Pleasance, like Christopher Lee, like John Carradine, a lot of them. We're really lucky that they work so cheap and we got to see them in like 200 movies. Like Vincent Price, Vincent Price just liked to work, he just liked to work. He liked to be in a project.
And Donald Pleasance was in hundreds of movies.
Hundreds of
If you
movies.
gave him $1, he would act because he loved acting. And he was a gentleman and he worked hard.
And
he was there in the morning, showed up, did his job, and he loved it.
And he brought a level of, he gave that performance every time, no matter if it was the cheap movie or the expensive movie. He always brought
Donald Pleasance.
He brought his Donald Pleasance business. And a lot of those guys are like that, where it's like, but the allegory I always use, because people always watch these movies and they go, why did that actor make that movie? And my answer is always like, well, a plumber comes to your house and fixes your toilet, even if your house is a mess.
right. Yeah.
And I feel like that's the situation with a lot of these actors. They came and they fixed that toilet, even though the house was a mess.
Right.
It's for the love of acting. He had a passion for acting. I think you can look at horror hosting that way. We don't do it most horror hosts don't do it for ego. They don't do it to boost themselves. They don't do it for fame or fortune. They think that's what drives them. It really isn't. We do it for the love and the passion of it. We're showing these films that most people won't watch, can't watch, never watch, and we're introducing it to a new audience. And we're doing it because we love to horror host and we have a passion for it. And that's what they had.
Well, there's something so special with the older movies too, with the public domain movies. A lot of times you're not dealing with the CGI and all that. So it was all like, no matter how bad the movie was, like Doc was saying, how much effort it took to create that. And sometimes a script might be really bad, but like the scenes will be amazing. The sets will be amazing. Or you'll have like the actors that are super amazing with this really bad script to work with. And so I think that's what's so special about those movies too, is like they didn't have all the fireworks and stuff that new movies have.
And think of your early Universals. There was no soundtrack. You may have had that orchestra in the beginning when the title credits ran, but you had dialogue and these magnificent settings, and you had crackle. So you'd hear someone talking when there was silence. You could hear because the film was dusty and dirty, but there was nothing. You had to deliver that based on who you are and your skills. And there is no music to back you up. There's no CGI. There's no puppetry. There's no stop motion at that time. It was all on the actor and actresses.
Yeah. One of my favorites is the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Oh,
yes.
Like one of my favorite. And it's like and I think we watched a documentary on it, and and that's what like really renewed our love for it, was like this, just the sets most, and they did have they didn't have a soundtrack. A lot of people have redone soundtracks for like Nosferatu, and so it's really hard to find, unless you own it already, it's really hard to find the original soundtracks on these movies. I've noticed looking on YouTube. It's like, no, that's not that doesn't sound right. I know that wasn't the music that was in that movie. Your
soundtrack could have been a Wurlitzer or an organ in the theater back in the day, especially if it was a silent. So you had nothing there other than somebody playing that music for you. So that's kind of what, and I think maybe towards the end of the silent movies, you still had that Wurlitzer going. They were probably still playing it for the audience. I mean, if you go down to the Castro district in San Francisco, they still use a Wurlitzer. They bring it up, they play it, and it goes back down in the movie.
At the Colonial Theater in
have the same
Phoenixville,
thing.
They have an organ that comes up out of the ground that they play with for organ.
There used to be one in Portland called the Organ Grinder when I was a child, and the whole restaurant, it was a pizza joint, and that's where everybody went to have their birthdays. The whole thing, the walls were the pipe organ, and they had this screen in the middle of this horseshoe theater where they would play the old movies, and the guy would come up and play.
It's amazing that you're saying this because when I was a kid, there was a place called Pizza and Pipes, and when they closed that place, the Wurlitzer went up to Oregon somewhere. So it probably was
Yep.
the same,
Really?
place, the
Wow.
same Oregon. But yeah, Pizza and Pie. When I was a kid, they would show old movies. They'd play the Wurlitzer, and it was all on the walls and everything, and it
Yeah.
was this whole experience as a kid. And
Yeah.
it was a good exposure to these old movies, but also an exposure to that presentation as the music as well. The pizza wasn't bad either.
Wow.
That's cool.
Explains why I smell cheese and what, olives and
Yes, there's a lot of cheese.
pineapple and
There's cheese in my veins.
oh, you're so cheesy.
I'm sorry, I'm reading some of our questions. That's why I'm looking down.
We
how
may have to go at some point tonight.
Yeah.
you guys have to go soon? Oh, it's been a while. Yeah.
9 a.m. We've got a convention tomorrow
Oh,
morning at 9.
yes. Okay, so well, we got your favorite movie, we Monster, and we got your worst movie. So we can start wrapping up.
I wasn't trying to rush you.
Oh no, that's fine. I mean, the longer we talk, the more I have to edit. So
Yes.
So what, really quickly, Sally, when you died the first time, were you, what sport were you cheering for?
Oh, let's see. Probably football somewhere, college football, high school football. My origin story is basically I was bitten, and there's a picture of me rubbing my butt. So something bit me and I died and came back as a zombie. So yeah.
Okay.
Very simple. I probably deserve to be bitten because I was a cheerleader,
I used to like you on one of those pyramids or something, and then zombies attacking.
Yeah, that's probably. I don't remember much about me as a fleshy, so it's a little fuzzy. It's hard to
sure,
remember.
yeah. And how long ago were you bitten?
Probably around 2005 is probably when I was bitten.
Okay.
Yeah, got the bug then.
So you haven't been dead that long. I mean,
No, mostly dead for almost 20 years. Dying every day. Mostly dying.
Are we all?
Your friend is mostly dead.
That's right. And I'm not getting better.
And for Mr. Lobo and Sally, if there were a movie that you could host that was not in the public domain, like if you could host any movie, what?
That's tough.
Yeah, I know it's hard. Yeah, that's
Halloween 3.
Oh, let's host it together.
Yes,
Halloween 3
that's
together.
an easy one for me.
Mhm.
Season of the Witch.
I do like that movie. We both championed that movie, and we both did a special together about that movie. So yeah, that makes sense for one to do. Yeah.
And I'm sorry I didn't hear what you said, the title.
Oh, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Halloween 3. Okay. Oh, Season of the Witch. Oh, that's what it was. Okay. Awesome. And
Yeah,
Excellent movie. Tom Atkinson's actual wife was in the hotel room next to where he was supposed to be with the other woman.
Oh.
That was the lady who pried open the tag on the mask and her face went.
Yeah.
That was Tom's actual wife.
Oh wow! So
wow, I didn't know that.
no wonder he was in the other room with Stacey.
And he's
Nelkin.
in the other room with the hottie.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. It's okay. Go to bed.
Stacey Nelkin, who they call the fifth replicant.
Yes.
Stacey Nelkin. I love that movie a lot. I feel like we kind of got robbed because they wanted to do an anthology premise from Go, where they were going to do a different kind of movie each year, released on Halloween. And it would have been interesting to see, 30 years of 30 different movies released on Halloween with different themes. But Michael Myers was so popular that the studio the studio didn't really want to go with that anthology idea, and there wasn't really a meeting of the minds. I mean, John Carpenter didn't even really want to do the second Halloween. He wanted to move right into the anthology concept. And when they tried to course correct at the third movie, people were like, what are you doing? You've got two movies with this premise. It's got to always be the same premise.
Yep, and money talked louder than the anthology, unfortunately.
But I think that movie's finally got its day where people are watching it and appreciating it.
Yep.
Yeah, we went to rent just the first Halloween here because we have an awesome video store still. That
Oh wow!
not many people have. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it's called Video Horizons, and
Wow.
yeah, it's awesome. But they don't have Halloween, the original Halloween. So we're trying to get them to get the original Halloween because we accidentally, I guess they made Halloween again, and it's just called Halloween, and so we accidentally rented that and put it in. It was like, this looks awfully new.
Yeah, there are actually three. What's funny about Halloween 3, there are 3 movies called Halloween.
Yes.
So there are 3 movies just called Halloween. So so it is very confusing with this, where you keep rebooting the franchise, but you don't change the name even a little.
Yeah,
I don't. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Reboot's
you know.
a really good name, or redo.
Much, yep.
Halloween again.
Halloween again, you just want your money.
Yeah.
The pre-sequel.
That was the last Halloween they released, was we just want your money. As it was
Yeah, because it's funny because there's 3 Halloween 1s, there's 2 Halloween 2s, but only one Halloween 3.
No one wants to remake it. Well, it's just perfect in every way.
Yes. So you guys are 3 hours ahead of us, and it's almost 8 o'clock here, so I'm guessing it's getting pretty late for you there.
Almost 11 for us, yeah.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
At our age, no, at our ages.
How we're staying awake now.
I mean, I'm an insomniac. If I didn't have a convention tomorrow at 9 a.m., I could talk with you folks all night.
Yeah, that would be
Thank
great.
you.
Well, let's do it again. I was just thinking today, it's like, I would love to do a horror host episode every year from now on. Just there's so much to talk about.
There's a lot.
Yeah, and if I don't have a convention that morning, I could set this up in my set so you could see my set.
Yeah.
So yeah, my basement to my lair.
Well, and definitely, like, I don't know if you guys got the message of send me anything that you want us to put in the show, because we want to show parts of your show, anything that you want people to see. Let's get the Pacific Northwest and Oregon watching you guys too.
Yeah.
Wow. I have a couple promos on the Cinema Insomnia YouTube. You're welcome to grab whatever you want to grab.
All right. Yeah. So if it's too much pressure to send me something, I can take.
I don't know if it's too much pressure. I know I'm flaky and I might forget. So.
But if it pops up in your head that you want something, you can just send me the link, because I have one of those programs on my computer. I can take anything off of YouTube that I want.
Yes.
So
how I survive.
Yeah, awesome. All right.
That's a good print. So that's a good print. Click.
Yes. Yep. So now go ahead and tell the folks how they can find out more about you.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm Mr. Lobo. I have a very informative website about my 22 years, cinemainsomnia.com. I also have a Roku channel called OSI 74.
All right. So people can go find out more about Mr. Lobo in those places. How about you, Sally?
So you can find me on YouTube, also sallythezombiecheerleader.com. And you can find me on the Monster channel. You can also find me on OSI 74.
All right. Great. And Doc?
The best way to find me on your computer is to go hashtag Doctordread Reviews, and that'll bring up my YouTube channel. And you can also find me almost every Friday night on the Monster channel.
Awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. So are all three of you on the Monster channel then?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm
Yes.
on a rotation. I think they have veteran hosts like once a month or something. So I think I'm on that rotation with the veteran horror hosts.
That's great. We've tried to put it on our TV and it just isn't working.
Oh,
I don't know what's wrong.
wait. There's the old Monster channel had a code that you had to put in because it was a private channel.
Mm.
So I'll send you the information on how you can put that on your Roku, but you can also stream directly online at www.themonsterchannel.com.
Okay. Yeah, and that's how we're going to be watching Open Signal, is because they don't have a streaming channel for smart TV, but it's streaming online. So
It's
Just
streaming
gonna-
online, and they're working on an upgrade to the Roku. If you have a Roku, they're upgrading that.
that's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really want that channel.
But yeah, and they're 24/7. They run all the time.
Wow.
So yeah. They're
So many
expanding,
hosts. It's crazy.
Yes. Fabulous.
This is really fun to talk to you guys. You have no idea. I was like, before we got on here, I was like, okay, no, like we got to keep our cool. These guys are super cool. You know, like,
She was trying to coach
I was
me on how to,
Jim on
you
like,
know,
Don't
don't
lose your skull.
starstruck.
Put your poker face on.
That's right. Put your poker face on. We
Don't
can-
fangirl. Who are we?
I have absolutely loved the entire conversation with all three of you. I think you guys are absolutely wonderful. I love your shows.
Yes.
Mr. Lobo, your comedic timing is inspirational.
Mm.
Is absolutely, I love watching your show.
I appreciate that. It's very kind of you to say. I think you guys have a great look, and I really enjoyed talking to you. Enjoyed your banter. I'm looking forward to seeing more of you.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. And so we'll have you do one more thing. We usually have our guests take us out. So because we're on YouTube, you want to,
Can't bite you from here, so
again, I'm already undead, so I don't know if you'd want to bite me. So
that's true.
remember,
They don't look like a snack for a zombie. but-
Well, the marrow's in there, so I can
Oh,
just
there you
chew a
go.
bone.
So if you like each, like maybe Doc, you can say like, and Mr. Lobo can say subscribe, and Sally can say share. That would be great. So we're gonna do our little. Thank you for watching. I'm Bad Juju
J-Bone,
with Doctordread,
Mr.
Remember,
Lobo.
patients, like,
Mr. Lobo,
Subscribe.
Yeah.
Sally the Zombie Cheerleader. That was fun.
One rehearsal, if we just had one rehearsal.
Yeah,
I think
just
we
one.
would've-
I mean, we could do it again.
Let's do it one more time.
One more time, okay. Thank you for watching. I'm Bad Juju.
And I'm J-Bone.
And with us is Doctordread, Mr. Lobo, and Sally the Zombie Cheerleader. Go ahead.
remember, like,
Subscribe.
Share.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
it's so much fun.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. And we'll have you back for sure.
That'll be
Thank
nice.
you.
Oh,
There he is.
Oh, there he
there
is.
he is.
Push you in
There it
there.
is.
That's
There it
fine.
is.
Shit in there.
Loving the hair.
Ready to go get my
There
face
you
off.
go.
You know?
I've never
It
seen
takes
your
me a while.
face, Doc.
There he
there
is.
you go.
And
I've
I made this.
Oh, that's nice. I like that.
Oh,
Real
huh.
bones, real.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's got some. I don't know. I feel like it's got some Cajun sort of.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was very, yeah,
Baron
Yeah.
Sentai kind of thing going on.
yeah.
Well, I'm a voodoo doll, so that's the idea
Oh,
behind it.
okay.
That Juju the voodoo doll, the undead voodoo doll.
A friend of ours lives in New Orleans, and we spent Halloween there last year, and we visited the year before. And so we got into she did an
cool is
interview
that?
with an author down there and stuff too. So we love that area, and the whole voodoo aspect is just where I sort of created this persona. Yeah.
Cool. I like.
Very nice.
Alrighty. Well, thank you very much, you guys. You're welcome. And we'll talk
Thank
to you.
you.
All right.
Get some sleep.
Bye.
Enjoy your convention.
Oh yeah, have a great time.